Holy Week in the Philippines. A young woman carries a cross in an act of total devotion. Guidebooks describe the Philippines as the only Christian country in Asia. Yet this is a strange blend of Christianity. Here the devout indulge publicly in gory flagellation, acts which early Spanish Jesuit missionaries taught as private penances. Displays like this are discouraged by the established Catholic Church, but many small Christian sects have embodied such rituals into their belief. The imported Catholicism has been fused with local practices and superstitions. Pageantry is mixed with personal ordeal. It's more than 450 years since the first Spanish conquistadors and missionaries arrived in the Philippines. To the local people, the incense burning, the golden crosses, and the fiestas of the patron saints were potent foreign magic. In some areas, a unique blend of Christianity and the old ways emerged. On occasions like this, the results are often extreme. This woman's faith drives her to relive the suffering of the crucifixion. For the third year in succession, she will spend an hour on the cross. Christ's example is not enough. She must experience the pain. The Philippines is the home of nearly 2/3 of Asia's 65 million Catholics. Most follow Vatican Orthodoxy. But south of Manila, at the foot of an extinct volcano, things are different. We have come to this mountain to look behind the bizarre events of Holy Week, to meet the worshippers of Mt.Banahao. Lying in the shadow of the mountain are small agricultural communities. The peasant at work in the fields is a scene typical of rural Asia. The villagers here live off the land. They are not wealthy, growing just enough to provide for their own needs. The villages are isolated and have changed little over the centuries. The houses are of palm thatch with dirt flooring. You may sometimes hear the sound of a transistor radio, but there are no cars or trucks. What this village does have is an impressive new structure of stone and cement, a church. For this is a religious center. The scene may look domestic, but this woman is a priestess in the city of the mystic church. This sect is one of over 100 in the area. Village life here revolves around the needs of the sect members. Like acts of faith healing, one of the most important activities. The laying on of hands will, it's believed, cure this girl's fever. The healers all claim their source of power is the spirit. To the old deities, the Christian saints of the conquistadors added a new set of guardian spirits. Prayers became magic spells. This faith healer works on a boy's sprained hand. His methods illustrate the sect's mix of Christian and traditional beliefs. Before the Spaniards arrived, the Filipinos worshipped the powers inherent in nature. They paid homage to the spirits of rock, stream, mountain, and waterfall. Special trees and plants were sacred to the spirits. So the healer uses an ointment extracted from the plants found on Mt.Banahao. But he applies the ointment to a piece of paper on which a Christian prayer has been written. The Christian God has become the supreme spirit. The Bible is only one source of guidance in Mystica village. The devout must know the environmental spirits, the Encanto. The supreme priestess of the sect is Isabel Suarez. It is her task to interpret right and wrong and then relate this to the other members of the sect. To this village, the spiritual center of Mystica, adherents from all over the Philippines come for spiritual guidance. A sect like this will have around 600 members. During Holy Week, they come for an annual pilgrimage which will take them up to their spiritual home, Mt.Banahao. The arrivals are known as the Balangas, the brothers. They're housed in a temporary shelter in the main open square of the village. Conditions may be primitive, but these people believe they are near the heart of the spiritual universe. The Mystica sect was founded in Manila in 1915 by Maria Balitaan. It moved its central headquarters to the holy mountain of Banahao in 1963. Maria's followers say that she was born in a very mysterious way. She emerged from her mother's womb in the shape of a ball. The boatman who was told to throw her into the sea refused. From this strange beginning, Maria survived to go on to become the first priestess of Mystica and to write all their religious rituals. The sect is very nationalistic. For them, the Philippines is the center of the world. Although they number only a few hundred members, they believe they are the true faithful. The Mystica flag is similar to the Philippine national flag with the addition of their own symbols. Each flag represents a branch of Mystica from different provinces of the country. In language, too, the sect follow local custom. There's no place here for the Latin of Catholicism. All the songs and prayers are in the traditional language, Tagalog. As the evening sun sets, the devotees gather for a key ritual in the Mystica calendar. These women are the suplinas. They take their name from a suplina, a 3-foot-long whip. Soaked in vinegar, it's an instrument by which the believers hope to get closer to the world of Mystica. Their founder has told them that the use of the suplina will unite them with the suffering of Jesus Christ. The square in front of the cross is filled every Tuesday and Friday with women from the sect. Over the centuries, they have come to believe that true femininity can only be achieved through devotion, chastity, and obedience. Nobody is forced to take part. They come of their own free will. Men do participate in the suplina, but most of the penitents are women. The whips have 3 rows of pointed curled metal wires tied at the end. As they ready themselves, prayers tell of their sacrifice. They offer to feel the hardship Jesus Christ suffered when he was nailed to the cross. The other sect members look on and join in the prayers. On another evening, they will come forward to show that they also are true members of the church. The act of flagellation was practiced in the early Christian church in Europe. It became popular when plagues or epidemics struck. The flagellants saw these disasters as punishment for human sin. Groups traveled about the country on foot. Twice a day in public ceremonies, men whipped their backs and chests with leather thongs. The Jesuits revived the practice in the 16th century and took it to the New World. But the missionaries saw it as a private act of purification. This seems an excessive punishment for personal sin. At intervals, a priestess moves among the suplinas with a container full of burning incense. She bathes each flagellant with the smoke, which is supposed to carry the message of suffering to God. After a while, the constant whipping begins to draw blood. Mingled with sweat, it becomes a gruesome spectacle. Throughout it all, the priestess moves among the sufferers, spreading the sickly sweet smell of incense. The ceremony, known as pagsusuplina, goes relentlessly on into the night. The penance lasts for 3.5 hours. Many theories have been put forward for such mass acts of suffering. It has been attributed to the driving out of evil spirits, as purification, and as part of an animal power residing in the whip. Perhaps this ceremony contains a little of all of these theories. But rarely has any group taken its worship as far as this. And as if the flagellation weren't punishment enough, the back is finally sponged down with vinegar. The women of the Mystica sect suffer not merely for their own sins. For them, flagellation is also a way of atoning for the sins of mankind. During Holy Week, the morning after Suplina is followed by Mass in the church. The flagellants, dressed in black, take part in a service led by the Woman Suprema. Women were traditionally the priests of pre-colonial Filipino society. They had equality with men, and it was felt they were less likely to sin. Today, the priestesses are authorized by government to marry couples and baptize the newly born. Outside, 4 priestesses carry a palio, a canopy made of sacred cloth, in a ceremonial reenactment of Christ's trek to Calvary before he was crucified. Each white cross or altar represents one of the places he was judged on his way to the crucifixion. This Mass of Holy Friday occurs a week before the Orthodox Catholic celebrations of Easter. Apart from a different calendar, the day is also differently named. In contrast to the Christian Good Friday, Mystica calls this day Sorrowful Friday. Like their flag and songs, Mystica's paintings reflect the sect's strong nationalism. The founder, Maria Balataan, stands armed to protect country and faith. National hero José Rizal was shot by the Spanish when leading the fight for independence at the end of the last century. He and the other leaders and martyrs of the independence movement are now worshipped as saints. Aside from the Filipino saints, the third eye symbol occurs throughout Mystica. They call it the In Solo Dios, symbol of the ultimate God and Creator. According to this sect and many others in the region, God was born on Mt.Banahao. To worship the holy mountain is to worship the Creator. One group, the Spiritual Filipino Catholic Church, has created a shrine of heroes at the base of the mountain. God and his saints are thus united. There are statues of men like Rizal and Apolinario Mabini, considered by many to be the mouthpiece of the revolution against Spain. Most of the religious centers in this region nestle in the foothills of the sacred mountain. It's been declared a national park, and it's renowned for its scenery and variety of plant life. Even before the arrival of the Spaniards and their new gods, this was a sacred place. The Spanish called the mountain worshippers the colorums, meaning those without religion or license to worship. The 7,000-foot extinct volcano became part of a new faith. To climb Mt.Banahao is to receive its blessing. It's a solemn pilgrimage. Those who climb the mountain for fun or without respect could come to harm. The pilgrims stop at puestos, or wayside shrines. There are over 200 of them. This one in the foothills is called Santa Lucia. For Mystica members, this must be the first place of prayer in any prosperous and safe pilgrimage. After praying and offering candles to Santa Lucia, the pilgrims bathe and wash their clothes in the mountain stream. Swimming and drinking the water of the streams confers the saint's protection to the faithful. It's also believed that the waters of the streams can cure skin ailments and diseases. The pilgrims climb from one puesto to another in a slow progress to the summit. Puesto Sentong Jacob, or Saint Jacob, is a cave. The faithful go inside to bathe in a small stream at the end of the cave. The opening is lit by candles, which are an offering to the saint. It is said that to visit all the sacred puestos on the mountain would take 2 years. Members of the various sects visit those places which have special meaning for their beliefs. For the Mystica sect, this waterfall is a very special place. Halfway to the top of the mountain, the falls are appropriately called suplina, like the whip of flagellation. The faithful believe that after lying beneath the suplina falls, the sinful will develop bruise marks on their skin. But a good or holy person will not develop bruises. The whole mountain is seen as a storehouse of psychic power. Pilgrimages take place all the year round. Faith healers come to recharge their powers and collect special plants and medicines. During Holy Week, thousands come to make an offering to the mountain. Members of the many sects swarm on to the lower slope so that they can visit at least one puesto. Although the way is often rugged, women and children all make the trek. The most popular sacred spot is the puesto of Kinabuhayan, the birthplace of God. A large stream laced with boulders and rocks and covered with a man-made web of bamboo. This is a sort of Asian Lourdes. To believers, the waters are blessed with the power of healing. If the pilgrims go to no other spot on the mountain, they will come here. This is the holiest of holies, imbued with the greatest power. Where the water emerges from underground, it is collected by the faithful to be carried home for protection and good health. One sect has its headquarters on the mountain itself. For their Holy Week services, the sect called Tres Personas Solo Dios, 3 persons, 1 God, march from their church to a cave further up the mountain. Led by young girls, the procession snakes its way up the mountainside. 3 priestesses in the center of the column lead a quiet chant of spiritual songs, a devotion which is often inaudible above the sound of the forest. At the cave called Templo, or Temple, the children rub a sacred rock. They believe the moisture on its surface is sweat with health-giving power. The Mass is led by a woman priest. Like the Mystica sect, the chief religious leaders of Tres Personas are women. The sect also includes several women heroes among their saints. This is the only sect to perform ritual Mass in a cave. From the mountain's heart, they hope to absorb messages direct from God. The Mass, the prayers, and the songs are in traditional Tagalog. A small organ has been carried into the cave to accompany the holy songs. Some of the traditions of European Christianity are still strong. The final Holy Week ceremony of Tres Personas takes place outside their church on the mountain. 9 women of the sect lead a ceremony of poetry and song. Many of their songs use the Filipino national anthem as their base. The words tell the history of the sect. The 9 women are dressed in traditional Filipino clothes. On their heads, they wear the white triangle, the symbol of the eye of God. It's hard to believe that all this is happening in an area that's little more than 50 miles from the sophisticated metropolitan center of Manila. But the sects survive and flourish in a way that Orthodox Christianity elsewhere might well envy. The secret, perhaps, is in the unique mixture of cultures that have given birth to these sects. For believers like this, it's produced a religion that strikes true at many levels, making sense not just of their recent colonial inheritance, but also of their long, long history before that.